Picture this. When people talk about 60s and 70s reggae, it's always the same names: Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Toots. But what if I told you there were bands just as powerful, just as crucial to the sound, that almost never get mentioned? These are the groups whose 7-inch singles are buried in dusty crates, whose bass lines built the foundations of roots and early reggae. But most casual fans have never even heard their names. In this video, we're going deep into the most overlooked 60s and 70s reggae bands, from harmony trios that should be legends to UK pioneers and spiritual roots warriors the history books barely talk about. If you only know the big stars, stay locked in. By the end of this countdown, you'll have a whole new reggae playlist and a whole new respect for the bands in the shadows.
When people talk about reggae in the UK, they jump straight to Aswad or Steel Pulse. But before those bands, there was a group of Jamaican musicians in London laying the foundation, the Cimarons. They formed in the late 60s after moving from Jamaica, backing visiting artists and carrying the sound into cold British dance halls, where most people had never even seen a live reggae band before. A lot of the time they were the only reggae group on bills filled with rock and pop acts, playing to crowds that didn't quite know what to do with one drop and skanking guitars. Ship Ahoy, released in the mid-70s, is their masterstroke. It's a heavy rolling roots take on the OJ's song, but instead of slick Philly soul, you get echo, bass, and a slow militant groove.
But I just see is a regiment.
You can almost picture them on stage in some smoky London club, Rasta colors on their hats, singing about a slave ship to an audience that's only just starting to connect the dots between Black British life and the African diaspora. The track is roots reggae, but it's also protest music and Black history lesson, all wrapped up in a live band performance that feels urgent even today. The thing with the Cimarons is that they did everything right. Original tunes, powerful covers, years of touring, a reputation as the first self-contained reggae band in Britain, and still, their name doesn't travel like the Giants. If you love roots but have only scratched the surface of 70s UK reggae, Ship Ahoy is one of those songs that makes you ask, why wasn't I told about these guys earlier?
They used to beat my parents. They used to beat them so.
Now we move from grey British skies back to Jamaica, straight into the heart of Rastafari roots. Twinkle Brothers started in the early 60s, winning talent contests and voicing for top producers, but it's the 70s album, Rasta Pon Top, that really locks in their legend. Recorded and originally released in 1975, it's one of those records that serious collectors whisper about, full of spiritual roots anthems with harmonies that feel like a small choir in a tiny country church. The title track, Rasta Pon Top, isn't just a song, it's a statement. The rhythm has that steady, unshakable one-drop, the bass walks with confidence, and Norman Grant's vocals sit right on top, proud and defiant. You hear lines about faith, struggle, and liberation, but there's also joy, like they truly believe Jah is lifting them above Babylon pressure. The whole album moves like that. Give Rasta praise, beat them Jah Jah, African liberation, all cut from the same militant yet uplifting cloth. What makes Twinkle Brothers feel overlooked is that they never really stop.
They used to rip.
While some bands faded after the Roots era, Twinkle kept touring, recording, and even linking with sound system culture in the 80s and 90s. But outside hardcore heads, very few people can name them.
I remember. Do you remember?
For a channel like yours, they're perfect, a band with history, a spiritual message, and a catalog that proves roots reggae didn't begin and end with the same 5 names. Put Rastapon Top on loud and you'll understand why some fans call it a must-own Roots LP. If you love harmony trios, heptones, mighty diamonds, culture, then the Chantels are like a secret chapter you've been missing. They were part of that mid to late 70s Roots wave, recording mostly for producer Roy Francis on the Phase 1 label, often at Channel 1 and Joe Gibbs' studios. Waiting in the Park is the tune that says it all. On the surface, it sounds like a love song, someone literally waiting in a park. But the way they deliver it, you feel longing deeper than romance. The harmonies are tight but not too pretty. There's a grain of pain inside them. The rhythm section is pure 70s roots, warm bass, crisp rim shots, gentle organ bubbles. It feels like Kingston at dusk, street lights coming on, sound systems warming up, people drifting through the evening heat.
Next time around, it won't be that way.
Collectors know the Chantells because original Phase 1 7 inches are sought after and Roots labels still reissue their tracks. But in mainstream reggae talk, you hardly ever hear their name.
I'm around, it won't be that way.
That's crazy when you think about how strong the Waiting in the Park material is. Songs about Jah, struggle, and everyday life, all delivered with that soft but serious harmony style.
I bet you, baby, you kept me waiting.
For viewers of your video, Waiting in the Park is a perfect doorway into the deeper crate. A tune that sounds instantly classic, but comes from a group almost no one mentions. Once people hear it, they'll be searching for more Chantells cuts on their own. The Meditations are one of those groups whose fingerprints are all over Roots reggae, even if casual listeners don't know it. Formed by Ansel Cridland, Danny Clark, and Winston Watson, they recorded their first hit single, Woman is Like a Shadow, at Channel 1 in 1974. The song itself is hypnotic. The groove is classic mid-70s Channel 1, heavy on the drums and bass, with that slightly dubby space around the instruments. Over it, the trio's voices weave in and out, almost like they're reasoning with each other in song. The lyrics use a simple metaphor, but underneath, you can hear all the tension of relationships, loyalty, and the way people move in and out of each other's lives. Beyond that one track, the Meditations backed and worked around some huge names. They sang on Bob Marley's Punky Reggae Party, for example, yet they never became a household name themselves. They released strong albums like Message from the Meditations and Wake Up, but for most people, Woman is Like a Shadow is still the main doorway in. What makes them perfect for a most overlooked list is that you can feel their importance once you put the pieces together. Channel 1 sound, links to Marley, classic harmonies, conscious lyrics, but somehow they stayed just out of the mainstream spotlight. In a 1-hour documentary, you can really show how a tune like Woman is Like a Shadow sits at the center of that 70s sound, deep, rootsy, and built to echo out of speakers late at night. The Silvertones started even earlier than a lot of groups on this list. They came out of the rocksteady era, voicing for Duke Reed and others in the 60s, before linking with Studio One and later Lee Scratch Perry. By the time they dropped Smile at Studio One in the late 70s, they were veterans, and you can hear that experience in every line. Smile rides a beautiful rhythm known to collectors as the Smile, or Jah Righteous Plan, rhythm. The groove is easy and flowing, almost like a Sunday afternoon walk. But the lyrics have that quiet spiritual weight that Studio One loved so much, about facing hardship, keeping your head up, staying strong even when life isn't giving you much to smile about. The Silvertones' harmonies are less flashy than some of their peers. They don't show off, they glide. That might be one reason they're overlooked. There's no big gimmick, no crazy backstory, just solid, soulful singing over some of the best rhythms ever cut to tape in Jamaica. You see their name in old credits and on the Silver Bullets LP, but outside deep reggae circles, almost nobody talks about them. For your audience, Smile is a gem, a track that feels instantly warm and familiar, like you've heard it drifting out of someone's yard for years, even if this is your first time pressing play. It also shows how the line between rocksteady and roots is blurry. The Silvertones come from one era, walk into another, and sound perfectly at home in both. By the time we reach Wailing Souls, we're dealing with a group that many hardcore fans would put near the top of any roots list. But somehow, they're still underrated next to the Wailers or Culture. They came together in Kingston in the late 60s, sang for producers like Lloyd Matador Daley, Coxsone Dodd, and later Channel 1, and spent the 70s building a catalog that modern roots bands still study. Row Fisherman Row is one of their defining tunes. The Studio One version in particular feels almost biblical. The bass line moves like waves, the drums sit just behind the beat, and the harmonies rise and fall like a small congregation out at sea. Lyrically, it works on two levels: the literal fisherman pushing his boat, and the spiritual fisherman rowing through life's storms with Jah as his guide. What's wild is how often you hear the rhythm and the phrase, "Row Fisherman Row," in reggae culture, but how rarely people mention the group by name. The song has been versioned, recut, and extended, appearing on Studio One compilations and Roots reissues. Yet Wailing Souls themselves remain mainly for heads who dig deeper. In your script, you can paint a picture of these four men under the hot Kingston sun, stepping into Studio One, standing where so many legends stood before them, and delivering a song that belongs in the same conversation as the biggest roots anthems of the decade. From there, you can point viewers toward albums like Wild Suspense and Firehouse Rock, showing that Row Fisherman Row isn't a one-off. It's a doorway into a whole body of work that reggae history still hasn't fully celebrated.
Long ago.
By the time you reach the Viceroys in this countdown, you're in serious foundation territory, the kind of group you see in credits and on old labels, but almost never hear people talk about in casual reggae conversation. The Viceroys started life in Kingston in the late 60s, led by Wesley Tinglin, first recording for Studio One under different names like the Viceroys, the Interns, and the Interns. They auditioned for Clement Coxsone Dodd right in the middle of the rocksteady era and soon began cutting sides like Maga Down, Last Night, and Yahoo. Lean, melodic tunes carried by harmony vocals and that deep Studio One rhythm section. Yahoo itself first appeared as a 7-inch in the late 60s and quickly became their signature tune. It flips the old sea shanty chant of 15 men on a dead man's chest into something made for Jamaican sound systems. Yahoo and a bottle of rum, writing a tough early reggae groove. According to later notes and reissues, it was a massive Studio One hit in Jamaica, the kind of tune that could make a dance lift up even before the vocal drop. But here's the twist. while Yahoo and other tracks like Love and Unity, Fat Fish, and So Many Problems have lived on through compilations like the Viceroys at Studio One. Yahoo and digital reissues on the Studio One label, the group's name still doesn't carry the same weight as some of their peers. They went on to record for multiple producers, release strong albums in the late 70s and early 80s, and even reform decades later. But for most listeners, Yahoo is just that Studio One tune, not that Viceroy's classic. In a way, the Viceroys are the perfect symbol of this whole video. A vocal trio that helped define the sound of early reggae and conscious roots, but somehow stayed in the shadows while their songs quietly soundtracked people's lives.
The pirates have their fun in the bird.
When you drop Yahoo in a set, you're not just playing a nice old tune, you're calling up a whole chapter of Studio One history that never got the spotlight it deserved. If the Viceroys represent the early reggae side of our overlooked legends, the Royals are pure mid-70s roots spirituality. Led by singer and producer Roy Cousins, the Royals spent years cutting singles in Kingston before gathering their strongest work into an album that would become a cult classic, Pick Up the Pieces. Released around 1977 but built from recordings made between 1973 and 1977 at studios like Channel One, Dynamic, King Tubby's, and Randy's, the album is a slow-burning masterpiece. The title track, Pick Up the Pieces, sets the tone. Steady one-drop drums, thick bass, and Cousins' plaintive voice urging people to gather themselves, rebuild, and move with Jah's guidance. You can hear the everyday struggle of Kingston, poverty, political tension, spiritual searching, but the delivery is calm, almost meditative. It's not a record that shouts, it glows. Deeper in the album you find songs like Ghetto Man, Jah Jah Knows, Promised Land, and Blacker Black, all of them quietly heavy, with lyrics about faith, oppression, and the inner life of people living in rough conditions. Critics and reissue labels have praised Pick Up the Pieces as containing some of the most musically sublime expressions of Rastafarian faith and the hardships of ghetto-living Jamaica has produced. But even with that kind of praise, the album is still something you discover in the back half of someone's collection, not at the front of the store. For your viewers, the Royals show another side of the 70s. This isn't the stadium, this isn't big international tours. It's careful, crafted roots made for people who were living the lyrics day to day. When you sit with Pick Up the Pieces, you realize how much of reggae's deepest spiritual core lives in records that never went mainstream, but still carry massive emotional weight. Some songs feel like they were born fully formed, as if the whole era is wrapped inside one rhythm. In Addis Ya Time by the Itals is one of those records. The group officially formed in 1976 when Alvin Keith Porter teamed up with Lloyd Ricketts and Ronnie Davis, three singers who had already been around Jamaican music for years and even worked together earlier as the Westmoralites. Their debut single as the Itals, In Addis Ya Time, arrived that same year and is almost universally described as their finest work. A tune that topped the Jamaican charts and became a quiet roots anthem. KVMR Community Radio. Musically, it's pure roots, a deep but relaxed bass line, unfussy drumming, and those three voices gliding in and out of each other. The hook, In Addis Ya Time, becomes both a warning and a meditation. The lyrics speak about the moral and spiritual condition of the world, the need to live upright in a corrupt system, the thin line between survival and downfall. It's not preachy, but it's serious. You can feel that this is coming from people who have seen enough of life to know how fragile things are. What makes the Itals overlooked is the gap between their quality and their name recognition. Within roots circles, people know they went on to record albums like Rasta Philosophy, which even picked up a Grammy nomination in the late 80s. But outside that world, most listeners have never even heard of them. Meanwhile, In a Dis Ya Time keeps circulating on reissues, DJ sets, and YouTube uploads, quietly converting anyone who presses play. In a one-hour documentary, this is the moment where you can slow down, let the rhythm breathe, and really talk about what time they were singing about. Mid-70s Jamaica, political violence, economic pressure, Rastafari rising, and three singers trying to make sense of it all through one perfect roots single. If we were building a hall of fame for roots bands, the Gladiators would absolutely be in the conversation. But they still somehow feel underrated next to Bob Marley and the Wailers or Burning Spear. Led by guitarist and singer Albert Griffiths, the Gladiators first came together in the late 60s. After Griffiths' early single, You Are the Girl, he formed a vocal trio with his friends and eventually locked in the classic lineup with Clinton Fearon and Gallimore Sutherland. Their first big breakthrough was Hello Carol, recorded at Studio One around 1968-69, and described in band histories as their first major hit, even topping the Jamaican charts. Hello Carol is rock steady on the edge of roots, sweet melody, strong lead vocal, and a rhythm that already hints at the heavier sound they'd grow into. The song was originally a simple love tune, but its success opened doors and proved that the Gladiators could stand shoulder to shoulder with any of the vocal groups recording for Coxsone Dodd. It later reappeared in re-recorded form on their 1976 debut album Trenchtown Mix-Up, keeping the song alive for a new generation. By the time they cut Proverbial Reggae in 1978 for Virgin's Frontline imprint, the sound had fully shifted into deep roots. That album, often paired with Trenchtown Mix-Up as their two key releases, is packed with songs mixing spiritual lyrics, social commentary, and harmonies that are both rough and beautiful. So why are they overlooked? Partly because they never had that one global crossover hit. Instead, they built a catalog of solid albums and classic singles, toured hard,
Give me some rubber dog. Yeah!
and lived mostly in the hearts of people who really follow roots reggae. In your video, the Gladiators represent the bridge, from rock-steady love songs like Hello Carol to the serious root statements of Proverbial Reggae, a band that should be mentioned in every top-tier discussion, but too often gets left out.
Long shot, kicky buckets.
Long Shot, Kicked a Bucket is one of those songs that refuses to die. It's been reissued, covered, chanted on terraces, and blasted at ska and reggae nights for decades. But ask a casual listener who recorded it, and many will shrug. That gap between a famous song and a half-forgotten band is exactly why the Pioneers sit this high on the list. The Pioneers formed in Jamaica in the early 60s and later became closely associated with the skinhead reggae wave in the UK. Working with producer Leslie Kong and released in Britain on the Trojan label, Long Shot Kicked a Bucket came out in 1969 and reached the UK singles chart, peaking around the lower top 30. The tune itself is deceptively simple. An upbeat early reggae groove, a sing-along chorus, and lyrics about a racehorse named Long Shot that collapses and dies, taking everyone's bets with him. It's part comedy, part tragedy, classic Jamaican storytelling. Underneath the catchy hook, though, there's something very Jamaican about the way the song deals with loss and disappointment. The punters are weeping and wailing at Caymanas Park, all their money gone, and the singers tell the story with a kind of rough humor. Bad luck is just part of life. You take the hit and move on. That mix of sadness and laughter is one of the secret ingredients of ska and reggae. The Pioneers went on to have more hits, including a strong version of Jimmy Cliff's Let Your Yeah Be Yeah, but Long Shot Kicked a Bucket remains their calling card, and even that often gets detached from their name when ska and skinhead reggae are repackaged. We end the countdown with a group that, to serious fans, should already be legends. But in wider pop culture, they're still not as famous as they deserve. The Ethiopians. Fronted by singer and songwriter Leonard Dillon, the Ethiopians came out of West Kingston in the mid-60s and quickly made a name for themselves with tracks like Train to Skavel and Engine 54, songs that helped carry the music from ska into rocksteady. By 1968, they had linked up with producer Carl Sir J.J. Johnson, and out of that relationship came one of the most important early reggae singles ever pressed, Everything Crash. Everything Crash isn't just a tune, it's a news report, a social essay, and a street chant all in one. Dylan was asked by Sir J.J. to write a song with that title, and he responded by documenting the wave of strikes and social unrest that were gripping Jamaica at the time. Firemen, water workers, even police either on strike or close to it, with inflation and unemployment biting hard. Firemen strike! Over a driving early reggae rhythm, the group sings about the country's systems breaking down. Firemen strike, watermen strike, down to the policemen too. The result is a protest song you can dance to, which is one of reggae's greatest tricks. The track became a big hit in Jamaica, later used in political campaigning and cited in articles about the era as a kind of soundtrack to the chaos of 1968. Yet, for many people, the Ethiopians are still just a name on old CD reissues, not a band you hear mentioned alongside the usual big three of reggae. That's wild when you realize they also gave us Train to Skaville, Reggae Hit the Town, Woman Capture Man, and more. A run of singles that map out the whole shift from ska to rocksteady to early reggae. If you enjoyed this episode, then go watch this video.